Hey guys, it's Matt here, Henry Shine, just doing a really quick video showing you, if you like, how to design study models in the 3shape ortho software. So first things first, let's see if I've got a full arch scan of me. This one will do quite nicely, a little bit of food in there. Nice. So I'm going to go right click and I'm going to hit export, and I'm going to hit export on my scans. I just want to export them as an STL, that's fine. And we'll export this on my desktop and I'll call it model for ortho case. Oh, that'll do. Cool, STL, save. So now that's going to be exported to my desktop somewhere, and now I'm going to open up, okay, so what we can do, ortho analyzer. And in Ortho Analyzer, we can now open this up, and hopefully my dongle's plugged in. Yes, accept. So once we come in here, you're going to, you can come into patients. You can go search. Any previous patients are going to be in here. You can, if you wanted to, click on this one just here, new patient. And you can put in a patient ID, first name, last name, create. Alright, so now this is our new patient. So see up here, we've got new model set. So you click on here, new model set, ID, whatever, comment if you like, create. So in this profile here, this is where we can import in our upper, import in our lower. You can also import a CT scan if you wanted to merge it with the upper and lower as well. You can have that option if you wanted to, so it helps you to draw all your axes of the roots and whatnot. So maxillary model, so we're going to go browse. I'm going to go back into my desktop, and where is my, let's just search. Can I search in here? No, let's go later. Let me know if you see what I just wrote. Matt, full upper scan. Matt, no. There's my son, Theodore, test lower, model for ortho. Oh, did I not do a full arch? Model for ortho case, here we go. So this was upper, so I'm going to choose my upper. Mandibular, browse, and we'll just say model for ortho case lower. Cool, load. Alright. So now you can see we now have our upper and lower in here together. So that's cool. We're all good. You can, if you wanted to, pull your lower away, or if you click up here, you can pull your upper away. So you can pick and choose what way you wanted to do it. Some of these icons, you've got this slice tool that if you wanted to, you could maybe, you know, slice over here, and then you've got the 2D look at things, so you can maybe work out, you know, certain measurements, and you can figure out all those kind of things in here. So if you wanted to do all segmenting and stuff like that, we've got these 4 things here. So if we go set up occlusion, so please set landmark on the 1/6. So I'm going to choose the mesial platal cusp, 2 central incisors just to the side of the center, and then in here as well. So now I've got my occlusal plane. I'm going to go done. Going to come into here and basically, so let's just go to here. We're going to click somewhere in the middle. And now let's bring this down, and you can adjust certain planes of where everything's going to be. Anterior, posterior, whatnot, sagittal. So that's going to set everything up according to what I've just done. Let's just bring that over there. So that looks pretty good. All right, so done. Then the next thing you can do, preparation, is setting our point. So if I'm missing a tooth here, I'm going to hit missing. If I'm missing a tooth here, right click and hit missing. And then what you can do is start to click mesial distal point. So if I come click over this tooth, I can left click 1, 2, left click 1, 2, and then this is going to start to give us measurements as you can see. Really quickly, I'm not going to spend heaps of time doing this. I'm not going to overthink things too much because I'm a male. There we go. And once we've done that, you can also point out if you wanted to cusps. So you can do cusps, and you can also, if I click on each tooth, I can change the axes of the tooth as well. So depending on each tooth, I can come and actually change that so that I've got my rotation. And this is where if you had have imported in a cone beam, essentially you're aligning your cone beam, you know, root or the position, in this as well. So you can do each individual tooth, you know, and you can play around with that. I'm not going to do it now. In general, at this stage, the main one that you're going to be doing is this one. Okay, so next, define cut. You can do this on the upper and the lower as well. But, okay, redefine. I should have read that error. Let's go set points. Okay, so let's just go skip. So this one here, a couple of teeth here need to be redefined. So what we can do is maybe move, let's go back to set points. Let's move that there and that there. And this one here, maybe we'll move that there and that there. And now we'll go next. See if it can figure it out this time. Just needed a little bit of love. Okay, can we separate? Please redefine. It's normal. Skip the error and draw cut out manually. So cool. So what we can do is now that this tooth is highlighted, you can come here, or you can segment tooth manually, and we can start to where is it? Start manual edit, and you can start to draw manually. If ever the software can't figure out the correct, you know, area that it wants to segment. If any area of a tooth does not segment correctly, what you can do is click on that tooth, and then the outline, let's just go back to edit, the outline will turn white, and you can start to move that out to segment the teeth to wherever you want to put them. Clicking over. Alright, so once you've done this and you've checked all your teeth to make sure they're all correct, they're all looking pretty good now. Yeah, that's good. I'm happy. Let's roll, as they say. Next, sculpt. So you can, at this point in time, you can sculpt something on there if you needed to. And then in the rotation center, you can move things around and whatnot. I'm not going to move things around, but just obviously so you can do this. This is going to let you know. So now it's going to segment the teeth and the gum wherever I've drawn that line. When in the rotation or the smooth, so if you wanted to, you can use these things. So let's say the smooth tool, increase that and increase that. So if you were to be printing, you can click on each individual tooth. Let's just reduce the size. So you can just smooth off some of those sharp lines, as you can see. And then all that's doing is if you were to print out, say, your own clear aligners, you know, it's obviously not going to give you a sharp line if you need to move that tooth around drastically. I hope that makes sense. So next, rotation center. Let's put our gum back in. This is where if you needed to, you can kind of align this with each tooth. You can align with the tooth root and get your axis correct and the length and the height and whatnot. So you can actually come down and be like, okay, yeah, this is where the root is, and take this through the middle of your axis and rotate it around individually on each tooth. You know, so you can actually play around with all of that stuff, depending on the roots and angles and whatnot. So after we've done that, so that's our segmentation. There's the analysis report. So you've got an analysis report there, Bolton analysis and space analysis. Obviously, all of that information's all in there. If you wanted to generate a report, then obviously overview and whatnot, generate report, Microsoft Edge. No, you can't see it, but it's over here. And then we've got some information here if you needed it. All right, cool. And then, you know, let's say clear aligners, generate report. Sorry, team. Depending on what you wanted to, I'll bring this over. So you can see if you were to do clear aligners and there was like IPR that you had to do, you know, it's all noted in here. So let's go back just really briefly, if you needed to, let's say in this step, let's go to Sculpt. Click on this tooth. So see in here, we've got other options where you've got morph settings, remove artifacts, plane cut, and spline cut. So you've got a whole heap of like editing tools in here that you can use. So let's say if you wanted to draw something on here, let's go, oh, wrong tooth. Let's go here. You know, so you can actually make little marks and whatnot and edit each tooth individually. So that's that. So let's just go to save session up here. Yep, save, and let's just go next. We'll just go all the way through the end. Now that's how you're going to segment, and that's how you're going to get any of those, you know, reports and whatnot. I'll just close out of that. Do you want to save the changes? Yes, that's fine. Oops, I shouldn't have closed out of it. Sorry, my bad. Now, when we go back into Ortho Analyzer, the case is still going to be in there, so that's no dramas. Let's just hit accept. So when we come into searching for patients, we're going to find our lovely patient here. So see how here you can now go right click, and there's the option to prepare model set. So when you've imported in a case and you've got it here, if you double click on it, it's going to come into, you know, this screen here. Let's just, let's go to export models. No, we don't worry about that. So let's go back. So we'll go search again, find me. So if you go right click and you go prepare model set, just here. What prepare model set does is setting up with pretty similar planes like what we had. So we got occlusal, sagittal, that should all be preset of what we did earlier. Define the cut on the maxillary. So what we're going to do is we're going to, obviously this is on the maxillary, so we're going to click, left click around in these kind of intervals, and we're going to go around and basically say this is where I want my model to go to for my study model. And then once I get to the end, I want to have this dot yellow and then left click on it, and then it will highlight that's the outside of my model that I want. If I wanted to now change this, if I hit fast edit spline, you can see how that's changed it. If I didn't want the palette, I can left click and draw it, and let's say get rid of the palette, you know, so that way you know, you can actually make some edits that way as well if you needed to, depending on what you wanted on your scan. Once again, on the mandibular, it's going to be the same. So we're going to just do like what I did earlier. So left click. I'm just going to keep above that, left click, and so on and so forth until we get around. And come through. Let's go just above there, otherwise that might give us an error. All right, so once that's done, we can now go to next. So this here is our base of what we are choosing. So if I were to eliminate that and that, you can see how it looks a little bit like a study model shape. So you want to make sure that your upper and lower are both within those shapes. And you can see over here, our base that we're choosing, there's a full upper base 1 and a full lower base 1. So if you wanted to just print arches, then you can choose, you know, arch, or you can choose different particular types of models. But essentially, these are different settings that you can choose. But if I have this just like that, with these settings, and let's say allow spline out of boundary if you needed to, so you can see how, let's move it that way maybe, and if we can bring that up, that's most probably looking pretty good. You can make the models larger or smaller if you needed to, depending on where you grab and what section you grab. It's going to move the models if you needed to. So once that's done, you can go next. Now you'll see that it will start to create our base once it does its little calculation. And depending on, so you can see right now, depending on your settings here, so if I come back to fit base, now in here you can basically change decimate base to distance between bases. So you can see as you play around with these settings, it will change. So if I were to just hit next, you'll see the difference between one and the other. Obviously, I changed that too far because this is going to be outside of the base now. That's not going to be any good. Hello. So basically offset and distance between bases. Oh. So if you make them longer, it's not going to be the end of the world, because what can happen as well is when you're doing these, there we go. So at the very end, after you've created your base, you know, you can basically, in the, where is it? Oh no, let's go next, create base. Now, after that's been created, and you're happy with that, that can basically be good to go. So see in the Sculpt tool here, so we got these virtual base, we got the Sculpt tool. So once it's been created, you can now also, let's say if you're like, oh, you know what, I wouldn't mind adding something on here. So you can morph something on here if you needed to. You can hit undo. You can basically remove artifacts. So if there was something on here that you didn't want, like a bubble on a tooth, you can actually, let's just increase it so it's 1 mil. Let's say this area here you didn't like, you can hit play and it'll basically digitally extract that area. Plane cut, so what you can do as well with plane cut settings, so you'll notice if I bring this into the middle, we've got swap cut direction. So literally, so if I were to draw across like so, see the arrows pointing that way, so if I hit play, it's going to trim off the bottom part that I don't want, or likewise, you know, so it's going to allow us to trim. If that was too long and you wanted it shorter, then maybe you could bring it there and then hit play and it would eliminate it, so it's just a little bit shorter. So it's not the end of the world if you make it a little bit too long. From this one here, so we got a spline. I usually like this one here. So let's say if you wanted to make a model but you didn't want to print out the full ortho model, and you just wanted to print out a horseshoe model, but you forgot to choose horseshoe earlier on, you can come into this tool, click here, and then basically you can go around, left click, just around your model where you want it to, come around. So this is going to save you a lot of resin. Alright, once that's done, see you've got the option to reverse direction. But right now, that's essentially trimmed up our model. So we've got a little horseshoe now. So if I hit play, that's our new object that we can now print out. Or if you needed to, once again, you can come to the plane cut and you can now, let's just say swap direction. So it's pointing down, then hit play. Now all of a sudden you've saved yourself a lot of resin and we've only got something small to print rather than a big ortho. So technically speaking, that is I'll just hit undo a handful of times, undo all. So that's that. Now that's our both models done. Well, if you went into the lower, that's both models done now. Now you can go to next and you can go to done. So that's both of our models designed. So if we click on here now, you'll notice it down the bottom rather than having the scans, it's now got our models. So you can right click, export, you can export models. Okay, so they've been exported to, it's under C drive. It is program data, 3shape ortho data. So what I'll do is I'm going to go that, C drive, program data. It was 3shape. Was it ortho data? I think it was. SRG. Oh, you know, that's it. That's it. Am I just losing my mind? So, okay, so now that we've got our DCM files and whatnot, if we go models, you can, oh, have I already exported cases out of this before? Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong. I'm looking at the wrong case. No, model ID. No, that is it. I'm a goose. Export. So, okay, so we'll just come back into here. This is so epically bad. C drive, program data, 3shape, ortho data. That's my model ID set. Models. So you can see how it segments everything. But let's say if I were to double click on this, you can see how that's brought in my lower. And double click on this, and this is my upper. So one other thing, that if you wanted to print them solid, obviously you can print them solid right now. Huzzah, that's really easy to do. Another thing that I'll just really quickly show you for your students, if you did want to use this, let's just close out of that. If you have this program called Meshmixer, it's really simple. You can import in a mandibular. So that's what our lower is going to look like, right? Now, if I wanted to as well, I can bring in my maxillary and I'm going to hit append. So both of them now are in this software. So I'm going to highlight both, hit control and highlight both objects. I'm going to hit transform. And once I hit transform, I'm going to spin that around and bring it up. So they're basically flat to the build platform. If you can imagine, that was a 3D printer. So once that's done, I'm going to hit accept so that they're both done like that. I'm going to now hit, I'm going to choose one object, the maxillary. I'm going to hit edit and I'm going to go to hollow. So I want to hollow out that model rather than having a solid one. I want it to be about 3 mm thick. I can go update hollow. And now I'm going to hit accept. So that's now hollowed out. Now I'm going to choose my mandibular. I'm going to go edit and I'm going to go to hollow. Once again, I'm going to make it 3 mm thick. Once I hit 3 mm thick, I hit update hollow. Once that's updated, I'm going to hit accept. So now the only thing left that I want to do is I want to go plane cut. So my lower one, see how I've got that lower highlighted? I'm just going to bring this down and I want to, you can see where the hollow line comes to. So basically I want to keep everything above this line, but I want to cut it off there. So I'm just going to hit accept. And now you can see that the mandibular is trimmed out and hollow now. It's a bit hard to see right now, but I'll show you in 2 secs. Going to hit the maxillary and I'm going to hit edit and I'm going to go to plane cut. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that. So it's saying cut that part and I'm going to pull this up and I'm going to say from, let's say, how much more do I have to edit? Let's go up a little more. about there. So just before. So now that's pretty much, that's all hollowed out, and I'm going to hit accept. So now if I highlight both together, or even now that I highlighted it both together, mandibular, I'm going to export that. You know what? I'm going to export it to the same position. So C drive, 3shape, no, C drive, program data, 3shape, ortho data, in here, in there, models, and let's just go to, let's go call it, Mando, lower, hollow. Oh man, yeah, been watching too much Mandalorian. Mando, lower, hollow, maxillary, and I'm going to hit export. I want to choose STL binary. Sorry. It's a good thing I'm not there, hey? Maxillary, upper, hollow. Alright, so now, essentially, what can happen is you've got your upper hollow and your lower hollow, right? So, technically speaking, if you've got a 3D printer, at this point in time, let's say we open up a Sega, new, let's say we got a larger build platform. Let's go for the 4K 80. That's fine. We'll choose Dentum model because we're printing models. Thickness 100 microns, all you need for ortho models. And now let's go and grab our two models, bring them into the software. We'll just go to auto place. That's fine. Next. So the only thing I need to do is just swap this one around. So I'll highlight this model. I'm going to use this rotate facet tool, just this one here. Click on a flat section that I want to be face down. There we go, laughing. So both of them are now ready to print. Let's just highlight that, move it in. Basically, you want them to be printing even on both sides. You can print more than just two, but you know, just to give you an idea, you can see both of them are shimmering on the build platform. That means that both of them are perfectly flat and they're good to print. If you wanted to print with supports, then you can just come into here, select all, and then go apply, and then it's going to put on supports, and then it's good to print. Once that's good to go, let's just go to close. You can now see that's going to print like so. You can build time, to give you an idea, roughly if your material cost is, you know, let's say you've got the new Keystone, what is it? Keystone Model Ultra at $126 a litre. You know, for that pair of study models, it's going to owe you $7.65 to print out that pair of model. So, cool. And it's going to take 1 hour, 17 minutes. However, if we were to come in and choose fast mode, that would be done in 48 minutes. So, to give you an idea, you know, you can print out more than just the two as well. But that gives you an idea of what's possible. If you wanted to print something out hollow, or if you wanted to print that out just solid, it's going to be the same print time. The only difference is you don't really need the supports, but you're going to just use a little bit more resin, and you can just export it straight out of 3shape solid. All good. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you then. See you guys. Bye.